The cabin lights dimmed as the plane soared steadily through the night sky, and most passengers surrendered to the gentle hum of the engines, drifting into peaceful slumber. In row 10, a young woman leaned against her pillow, her dark hair falling softly across her face as she slept soundly, unnoticed by those around her. To the rest of the passengers, she seemed like any other weary traveler returning home after a long journey. No one could have guessed that her story held more weight than the luggage tucked into the overhead bins. The flight attendants moved quietly down the aisle, offering water and blankets, their practiced smiles masking the tension of a long shift. Somewhere near the cockpit, though, the steady rhythm of routine was suddenly broken. The intercom crackled with a nervous pause, and then the captain's voice came through, tight with urgency. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're experiencing a situation that requires immediate assistance. If there are any trained combat pilots on board, please make yourself known." A hush fell across the cabin, whispers replacing snores, wide eyes darting nervously as the weight of the words settled in. Fear crept in like a cold draft, invisible yet undeniable. The average passenger had no answer for such a request. No one expected to be needed for something so critical while flying as a civilian. In row 10, the young woman stirred, still half asleep, unaware that her presence might hold the solution to an unspoken crisis. For now, she was just another traveler, resting in the dark, while the cabin around her filled with anxiety, prayers, and the quiet desperation of ordinary people hoping someone would step forward. The silence in the cabin grew heavier with every second that passed, as if the weight of the captain's words pressed down on every passenger's chest. Mothers pulled their children closer, businessmen glanced nervously at one another, and an elderly man whispered a prayer beneath his breath. Flight attendants exchanged quick, worried looks, their calm professionalism slipping at the edges. Still, no one moved. The request hung in the air unanswered, leaving the entire cabin suspended between fear and uncertainty. In row 10, the young woman slowly blinked awake, rubbing her eyes in confusion as the whispers around her reached her ears. She sat up straighter, catching the fragments of conversations. "Combat pilot? What's happening?" And immediately felt the air shift. Something was wrong. Her instincts, trained over years of discipline and drills, kicked in before her thoughts fully caught up. She had once worn a uniform that carried the weight of responsibility, her hands steady on the controls of fighter jets, her focus sharper than steel in life-or-death situations. But those days felt far behind her now, replaced with quieter routines and civilian clothes that made her blend seamlessly into crowds like this one. She had promised herself that part of her life was closed. Yet as the captain's plea echoed in her memory, something stirred deep inside, a sense of duty she could never truly leave behind. Her pulse quickened, not from fear, but from recognition. This was her calling, her moment, even if no one around her knew. She glanced down at her hands, ordinary in appearance, but capable of extraordinary things when it mattered most. As the murmurs swelled, she felt every heartbeat echo like a drum in her chest. Memories flooded back, nights in the desert sky, her aircraft slicing through the clouds, the weight of countless missions carried on her shoulders. She had left that life behind to find peace, to escape the ghosts of a career built on courage and sacrifice. Yet here she was, just another passenger in a sweater and jeans, confronted with the undeniable truth that her past was calling her name once more. She inhaled deeply, steadying herself, and pressed the call button above her seat. The nearest flight attendant hurried over, her face pale, her composure unraveling under the strain. "I need to speak with the captain," the young woman said firmly, her voice carrying the quiet authority of someone who had faced storms before. For a moment, the attendant hesitated, as if unsure whether this woman could truly be the answer they prayed for. But the determination in her eyes erased all doubt. Word spread quickly through the rows, someone had stepped forward. Hope flickered where fear had once rooted itself, passengers craning their necks to catch a glimpse of the woman from row 10. She rose to her feet, her movements calm, grounded, as if she were born for